My brother secretly used my credit score to lease a luxury car to show off on Instagram. So I reported the fraud and had it repossessed from his driveway. I, 25 male, have spent the last 4 years building a life out of absolute financial discipline. I grew up in a household where money was a constant source of anxiety, and I promised myself I would never live like that. I worked 2 jobs through college, graduated with a finance degree, and drive a reliable 6-year-old Honda Civic. My ultimate pride, however, is my credit score. By being incredibly meticulous, I built an 810 credit score and was prepping to buy my first home later this year. My younger brother, Tyler, 22 male, is the complete opposite. He is a textbook product of the modern hustle culture illusion. He dropped out of community college because he decided traditional education was for wage slaves, and now spends his days trying to become a lifestyle influencer. His entire existence is curated to look like he is a self-made millionaire, even though he lives in a cramped apartment with 3 roommates and works part-time retail. I usually just mute his stories full of fake Rolexes and rented Airbnbs. I figured his fake lifestyle was embarrassing but harmless. I was dead wrong. 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday morning, my phone buzzed with an urgent notification from my credit monitoring app. New account opened. Auto loan. My stomach dropped. I immediately logged into the app. A massive $85,000 auto loan had just been finalized and reported to my file from a high-end European dealership located 3 towns over. My flawless credit utilization had skyrocketed, and my score had tanked by nearly 50 points from the hard inquiry. Assuming identity theft, I called the credit bureau to place a hard freeze on my social security number, then called the dealership's finance department. I demanded to know how an $85,000 loan was approved in my name when I hadn't stepped foot on their lot. The finance manager checked the file. Sir, the application was submitted online last week, and the final paperwork was signed in person yesterday by a Mr. Tyler, my last name, who was listed as a co-signer. The primary credit profile utilized your social security number and W-2s. The room started spinning. Tyler, my own brother. He had completely hijacked my financial identity. Using his access to my old mail at our parents' house, he found my W-2 tax forms and my social security number. He digitally forged my signature on the primary lease agreement, using his own name as the secondary driver just to physically pick up the keys, legally anchoring the massive debt to my spotless credit. He had leased a brand new, fully loaded slate gray BMW M4. I didn't call him. I opened Instagram. Tyler's page had exploded. He had posted a highly edited reel of himself tossing the BMW key fob in the air outside the dealership. He was wearing a cheap suit, posing aggressively against the hood. The caption read, "Hard work pays off." They told me I was crazy for dropping out, but now I'm driving my dream car at 22. All cash, no financing. Hashtag self-made, hashtag BMW, hashtag entrepreneur. The sheer audacity physically nauseated me. He was flexing to his fake followers about being a self-made millionaire while literally stealing my financial future to pay for the prop. He committed multiple felonies, identity theft, wire fraud, and forgery just to generate content. I didn't scream or confront him. When dealing with a narcissist who operates purely on optics, you have to destroy the illusion entirely. I left work, drove straight to my local police precinct, and sat down with a detective in the Financial Crimes Division. I handed him everything: the credit report alerts, the forged dealership paperwork, and the screenshots of Tyler's Instagram posts, bragging about paying all cash. I spent 2 hours giving a sworn statement, officially pressing charges for identity theft and fraud against my own brother. Once I had the official police report number, I called the dealership's general manager. When I informed him that his finance department had just facilitated an $85,000 felony fraud by failing to properly verify a primary applicant in person, he panicked. Dealerships are terrified of state banking commission investigations. "I won't call the commission on one condition," I told him coldly. "You're going to terminate that lease immediately due to fraudulent execution, and you are going to repossess that vehicle today." The GM agreed immediately. Since the contract was technically void due to identity theft, the car was legally considered stolen, They dispatched a high-priority recovery team. I gave them Tyler's exact apartment address, but I wanted a front-row seat. Tyler had been hyping up a launch party at his apartment that afternoon to show off the car to all his local influencer friends. It was the perfect stage. I drove across town and parked down the street, completely out of sight. The slate-gray BMW M4 was parked diagonally across 2 spots right in front of his building. About 10 people were standing around it, holding up ring lights and filming TikToks. Tyler was in the center, loudly giving advice to his friends about manifesting wealth. 30 minutes later, a massive flatbed tow truck rolled into the complex, its amber warning lights flashing. It pulled up directly in front of the BMW, completely blocking it in. Tyler stopped mid-sentence. He pushed through his friends and walked up to the driver. "Yo, what are you doing? You're blocking my car. We're shooting a video." The tow truck driver barely looked at him. License plate matches. VIN matches. Step away from the vehicle, kid. This is a repossession. The crowd went dead silent. Phones were suddenly lowered. Tyler panicked. "Repossession? I literally bought this car yesterday, in cash. I'm the owner." "Dealership called us," the driver grunted, unspooling the heavy steel winch cable. "Said the lease was secured through felony identity theft and the contract is void. They told me to hook it and book it." Tyler completely lost his mind. He physically stepped between the driver and the car, screaming, "You're not touching my car. I'm calling the cops." That was my cue. I stepped out of my Civic and walked calmly toward the crowd. "You don't need to call the cops, Tyler," I said loudly, cutting through his hysterics. "I already did." Tyler whipped around, his eyes widening in absolute horror. The color drained from his face. "What are you doing here?" he stammered, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Bro, we can talk about this inside. Don't do this right now." "Don't call me bro," I said, making sure every person holding a phone could hear me. "You stole my social security number, dug through our parents' mail to find my tax returns, and forged my signature on an $85,000 lease because you are entirely too broke to afford your own lives. You didn't pay cash. You are a fraud, and you tanked my credit score so you could take pictures for Instagram." The silence from his friends was deafening. Tyler looked like he was going to vomit. His entire fabricated identity was being publicly executed in front of the exact audience he spent years trying to impress. "Please," Tyler begged, actually starting to cry. "I was going to make the payments. I just needed the car to boost my algorithm. If they take it, my brand is ruined." "Your brand is identity theft, and your future is a felony conviction," I replied. I turned to the tow truck driver and nodded. Tyler was forced to stand there, completely powerless, as his dream car was dragged onto the flatbed. His friends awkwardly packed up their ring lights and backed away, realizing they were associating with someone about to be arrested for grand theft. They left Tyler standing alone in the parking lot, watching his fake life get towed away. Tyler was formally arrested the following morning. Because the value of the car exceeded the felony threshold for fraud and identity theft in our state, he is facing serious charges. My parents blew up my phone, screaming that I should have handled it internally as a family. I shut them down immediately, telling them that if they ever asked me to drop the charges, I would cut them off permanently. The relationship is completely fractured, and Tyler is currently on house arrest at their place pending trial. His Instagram account has been completely deleted. It has taken hours of exhausting paperwork, but with the official police report, the credit bureaus have formally removed the fraudulent loan from my profile. My score is rebounding, and my pre-approval for a mortgage is back on track. I have absolutely no regrets. Tyler built an entire personality on lies, believing he could use my hard work as a stepping stone for his own ego. He thought he could steal my identity, pose for the cameras, and I would just quietly clean up his mess. He learned the hard way that when you steal from someone who built their life from the ground up, the consequences arrive on a flatbed truck in front of an audience.